So my journey started with my birth. When my doctors told my parents that I was born with spinal bifida myelomenigosis. It's a birth defect. In layman terms, if I have to say, it's like a tumor in the spine, due to which I was paralyzed waist below.
Where are you today, Aditya? Can you tell us?
So today, I am someone who has a successful career of about 10 plus years. I've also been a national level para-powerlifter. Uh, I've also been a published poet. Uh, and I have started my own venture called Strengthor.
How important do you think it is for that support for people with different abilities?
I think it is very important for people to develop their independence as much as they can. It has been something which has been a confidence booster for myself, uh, because of the way my family has brought me up. They have always been like, you have to earn for yourself. You have to make sure that you are able to live by your own. It's a very crazy story when I tell someone. So when I was a small kid, of an age when children start walking. Now, obviously, being paralyzed waist below, I could not walk. Right. So my doctors put me on calipers and wanted me to walk. Uh, Now, me being a small kid, I was crying. I was on the road. My mother was trying to make me walk, and I was crying.
Yeah.
Right? Any kid would be like,
Yeah.
when you take them to school, when you make them do
Discouraged.
something
Yeah.
for the first time. Normally, any other mother would say, "Okay, come back. We'll try some other day." My mother was like, she gave me a tight slap in the middle of the road.
Yes. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Young Limit Stories. I'm your host, Alma Chopra, and I'm thrilled to embark on another journey with you guys. In today's episode, we will shine the spotlight on a story which shows that limitations are a matter of perspective and just part of our mindset. In recognition of Different Ability Employment Awareness Month, we have Aditya Mandan, whose journey starts as a powerlifter and continues now as an entrepreneur. Winning over 10 national medals and awards, including an award from the Spina Bifida Association from India. His story is a testament of how to live beyond limits. Welcome, Aditya. Thanks for being here. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
First of all, thank you for having me here. So my journey started with my birth. When my doctors told my parents that I was born with spinal bifida myelomenigosis. It's a birth defect. In layman terms, if I have to say, it's like a tumor in the spine, due to which I was paralyzed waist below. The initial struggle was all for my parents, finding me the right schooling, finding me the right environment where I could grow. It was a tough time because I'm talking about 40 years from now, when India was even less accessible than it is, what it is now, right? So there were hardly any accessible schools. So getting the schooling and everything was very difficult. That's where my struggle started, and that's where I would say where the building blocks which made me as independent as I am today. And thanks to the support of my family, my elder brother, my father, my mother, my grandparents, everyone. And it is because of their hard work and perseverance that I'm where I am today.
Okay, so just let's fast forward. I want to get your history, but where are you today, Aditya? Can you tell us?
So today, I am someone who has a successful career of about 10 plus years. I've also been a national level para-powerlifter. Uh, I've also been a published poet. Uh, and I have started my own venture called Strengthor, which basically promotes strength from all perspectives, which is physical, mental, and emotional, for those who are physically, mentally, and emotionally challenged. So I've come a long way from struggling to get education to building a successful career and a side business for myself.
So now, in your journey, you mentioned that the support that you got and your foundation has made you as independent as you are today. How important do you think that support is? Um, because now you're living independently and but may you have your own business. You may or may not have the support of your friend. How important do you think it is for that support for people with different abilities?
I think it is very important for people to develop their independence as much as they can. It has been something which has been a confidence booster for myself, uh, because of the way my family has brought me up. They have always been like, you have to earn for yourself. You have to make sure that you are able to live by your own. Uh, they were like, I can give you a couple of incidents, which kind of instilled that attitude of never giving up and always being self-dependent. So uh, it's a very crazy story when I tell someone. So when I was a small kid, of an age when children start walking. Now, obviously, being paralyzed waist below, I could not walk. Right. So my doctors put me on calipers and wanted me to walk. Mm, uh, Now, me being a small kid, I was crying. Mm. I was on the road. My mother was trying to make me walk, and I was crying. Yeah. Right? Any kid would be like, yeah. When you take them to school, when you make them do something, yeah, for the first time. Normally, any other mother would say, "Okay, come back. We'll try some other day." My mother was like, she gave me a tight slap in the middle of the road. Yeah, so that's some kind of motivation. Yeah, and she's like, either you walk or you don't go home. Okay, so you got tough love, right? So I think you're saying tough love to some extent is important. It is very important. I think it is because of the tough love of my mother is where I am today, and I'm thankful to her. She didn't give you the sympathy, or the pity that people in this community may want to start expecting. Yes, and she never even like she would never even let me accept sympathy. Like if she would see somebody giving me sympathy, she would make sure that I don't accept it. Mhm. Right. So she made sure not only did she not sympathize with me, she made me also tough enough not to accept sympathy. So experiencing tough love and fighting for what you want is one thing, but also society as a whole, whether it's the media, whether it's your family, right, whether it's your friends, or what it's also the language that they address you with. Disability special. Um, what? How important do you think throughout your journey? People referring to you, what movies, media's, friends, your family telling you, are maybe like same like, wow, like where you are today, you wouldn't expect that from someone in a wheelchair, right? How important do you think language is to you, or like how people present their views onto you? How important is that? I think there are two aspects of it. Like, they say there are two sides of the coin. So one is accepting that, people will say something, right? And there's an incident again from my childhood wherein one day I came home crying because somebody denied, I approached someone for friendship, and that person denied saying that मैं एक लंगड़े से दोस्ती नहीं कर सकता. Mhm. And I came home crying. And my mother said, the first thing you have to accept is that you have this physical challenge. And people who accept this and then become your friends, they will become your lifelong friends. Mm. So, first thing is don't shy away from your condition. Mm. The second part is something which I advocate now is it is a challenge. So, I'm sure you remember that conversation wherein I said that I don't use words like disability, specially able, or differently able. For me, everything is a challenge which has a solution. So you take it as a challenge, be it a physical challenge, a mental challenge, or an emotional challenge. have a solution mindset, implement the solution, and move forward.
Mhm.
So it is for me, it is a mind shift,
Right.
perspective shift, which helps me grow further in life. So that's why I don't say that, which term is right, which term is wrong. But this is the term I associate myself with because it gives me motivation to move forward.
Right.
So I use term as physically challenged.
I think the mindset shift that you're referring to is important. And a lot of people are stuck in believing uh, the word disability or being specially abled. I think that puts the person who's it's being told to if they're a little less vulnerable than you, puts them into a space that yes, I'm special. Yes, I do need pity. Yes, I'm this. I do have a lot. Yeah. And that that you were able to overcome that puts you in a different place.
That is what I feel. But yeah, as I said, I don't contest those terms. It is what works for me. So this is what I use.
So let's switch gears. So this month is Different Ability Employment Awareness Month. And since you've started your career as powerlifter and now you're an successful entrepreneur, I want you to tell us a little bit about your journey, how you transitioned from a powerlifter um, to wanting to have a career more a business oriented as an entrepreneur.
So when I was doing para powerlifting, I met a lot of people around the country who were physically challenged. And I realized even though these people are people, and normally you would expect them to be mentally and emotionally very strong. But soon I realized that a lot of them do have a lot of mental and emotional pressures, be it because of the competition pressure, be it because of the societal pressure, or be it because of family, friends, relationships. Each one of them is going under a lot of pressures. And I've seen some very good sports people succumb to these pressures, which are not physical, and not being able to make it to the competition to the level that they could have been. Mhm. So I realized that there is a need for a support system which is holistic in nature. So first, I set out to see, whether there's anything else in the market which actually caters to these needs. Now, what I realized was that you have physical fitness centers, you have psychologists, you have life coaches, you have manifestation coaches. They all exist in silos. Mhm. I couldn't find one institution at that time which brings everything under one roof. Yes. So I thought if we can bring everything under one roof, and once people get associated to it as a client, they will not have to run from pillar to post whenever they need something. You need a psychologist, you name it, we have it with strength on. You want a fitness trainer, you name it, you have it with strength on. You want a life coach, you have it with strength on. You want a manifestation coach, we have it with strength on. Even if you need financial guidance, we have it with strength on. Right. We have
On one roof.
Yes, so I brought everything under one roof so that once somebody gets associated with us, any kind of support they need, they don't have to run.
So that's your business now, but what was so being a power lifter is more of an individual journey, right? It's more about ultimately winning medals for yourself, right? So how did that shift come about that, oh, okay, now I want to be in a business that will have a product that will help other. I'm interested in learning about the transition. How did you make that transition? I'm saying this is because being what you did as an athlete was an individual journey. What you're doing now, being an entrepreneur, is a journey of a multitude, right? It requires more people and it will affect more people. So what was your thinking like?
So initially it started as me. So to pursue para powerlifting, I had at that time quit my corporate job. I was working in JP Morgan.
Okay.
And I quit my corporate job and became a para powerlifter because I wanted to dedicate full time to it. Now, as I said, that my mother had always taught me that you have to earn for yourself, right? If not too much, at least enough to earn your own bread and butter.
Right.
At least that much you have to. So I got myself certified as a fitness trainer. And I started fitness training initially just to ensure that my own expenses are being taken care of. So that's how I started as an freelancer. And that's when I interacted with more people, I realized why certain people are not able to meet their fitness goals. The problem is not with the strength, like physical strength, but with the mental or the emotional strength, right? So started as a fitness trainer, and then slowly with the experiences that I had with my clients, I realized that the need was more, and then expanded into other realms of emotional, mental, psychological, everything.
Okay. So being in this space, and you yourself are an empowerment coach. Can you talk to me? Um, let's set aside clients from the mainstream community. Can you tell me a little bit about your clientele from the differently abled community? What do you see there? Like, how are you nourishing their growth?
I do. So a part of it is I provide service as a certified fitness trainer, but other part of it, which is something which is not at the forefront, but I do from behind the scenes, is whenever somebody gets attached to the strength or as client, right? I try to see what exactly this person is trying to achieve beyond the fitness goal. So I have clients who wanted to get into freelancing. I guided them into starting their freelancing journey. There have been people who wanted to start a business. I've guided them into how to, go out and pursue that. There were some people who just come and talk to me because they need direction in terms of what they can do. So I talk to them and try to figure out what their skill set is and try to help them find something through which they can start earning something for themselves so that they can support themselves and their families.
So, can you give me an idea of how, by your clientele, how many are mainstream and how many are differently abled?
Most of them are different. I will not use differently abled, and most of them are physically challenged.
Okay.
So,
Continue to use
yeah,
different
you continue to use. When you're in conversation, you sometimes end up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but most of them are physically, mentally, and emotionally challenged. Like right now, I have one person who is physically challenged. Then I have another client who has cerebral palsy. Okay, and then there are a few more clients, like not from fitness perspective, but we have for our psychologists.
Right.
They are also from a mentally challenged community. So we have different clients, and most of them are physically challenged or mentally challenged, right?
So, my next question, Aditya, is like you mentioned, when someone talks to you about fitness or their fitness goals, you often see that it's not a problem with strength, it's a problem with some mental restriction that they have. So my experience with the differently abled community is it's the same, right? There are limitations, yes, maybe physical, but a lot of the blockage is mental. So seeing that you are now in this journey, is this something you see as a coach yourself that the blockages are mental when you engage with your physically challenged clients?
Most of it is mental. That's why somebody, when they come to me as a for a fitness goal, I first try to assess them what their challenge is. If I find that their challenge is more of a mental or emotional thing, right? So as a business minded person, my idea would be to take the money and just train them for fitness, but I don't do that. If I see it's a mental or an emotional block that they have, I will tell them you first need to go to a psychologist, or depending on their situation, go to a life coach, or go to a manifestation coach who can help unlock their limiting beliefs. So I would first redirect them to that particular expert so that first they can cater to that. Because me training them for physical fitness when they have a mental block will not deliver any results.
Mhm.
So I would make sure that I guide them to the right direction. And then from there, once they are at a place where they can, they've unlocked their limiting beliefs, they have overcome their mental or emotional blockages, then they come back to me for the fitness training.
Right. So going back to employment, when people from the different label community are looking for employment, what advice would you give them, seeing that you've kind of done the whole spectrum, right? From job to powerlifting to being an entrepreneur yourself. So you kind of went through the whole phase. So what advice, my first question is, what advice would you give to your peers who are looking for jobs, whether it's at JP Morgan or Aristocrat or other such institutions?
My first advice is don't listen to the world, listen to your heart.
Hmm. Good advice.
Don't listen to the world, listen to your heart. Don't think don't think of searching the job because the world has been telling you that this job is the only thing you can do. Think about what you want to do.
Mhm.
And this is a question that I ask most people. This is a very important question my brother once asked me, which kind of changed my perspective for the whole life. He said, given the situation where there was no constraint on you in terms of money or anything else, what would you do? Right? So
That's
if
a
you
hard question to answer.
yeah,
Everyone thinks money's gonna solve all problems, but it
it doesn't.
doesn't exactly.
Right? So that is the question I ask anyone who comes to me, that if money was not a problem, what would you do?
Mhm.
Think of that. And then I'll give you the solution, because I have connections wherein I know people who are waist down paralyzed, who are like chest down paralyzed. They are doing film videography, right? They are film directors, they are ad directors. Now, somebody who is chest down paralyzed, normally nobody would think that this person can be a ad film director. But I know Rustam Irani, a dear friend of mine who lives in Mumbai. He is a wonderful ad film director. There are people who are artists. I'm sure we've all heard of Gulfam Ahmad,
Mm-hmm.
right? There are a lot of artists out there who have, like, defied all the odds and done things which people told them uh, they can't do. Chetan, the person you interviewed last,
Yes.
right? So there are lots of examples out there. It is all about thinking what you want to do, understanding your limitations, and then putting on that solution mindset, and then oh,
Okay. Okay. So there is that even if someone with a different ability changes their mentality, right? Still says, okay, I definitely want a job at, let's say, JP Morgan, but there are stereotypes, there's discrimination, right? So what I'm asking is, like, uh, when I go out for a job and I get rejected from the job because I'm qualified, but they say I'm not going to be able to do it because they have their preoccupations, they have their prejudices. That obviously that's going to affect me, right? I'm not going to get the job. So, like, how am I going to keep trying? And the reason I'm asking you this is because so many people, that is the problem. People are going out for jobs in this community and they get rejected. there's that simulation of, okay, this person is physically challenged or differently able, but let's give them a shot. That ideology is not yet there. So what's your advice to someone who is qualified but just doesn't get that job because of societal perceptions?
So see, it's like, so I was once having this conversation with my manifestation coach, and what she said made sense to me in a different perspective, but it fits very well here, right? There's so many billions of people in the world, right? We focus on people who do not accept us. We don't need that much acceptance. We just want to live with people who accept us.
Right.
Similarly, there are so many different companies in the world. We get hooked up on companies that reject us. There are so many different companies that do work with us. I got rejected in many companies, but I've still had a successful careers because I have never stopped applying despite those failures. And I found companies that would take me for my abilities, for my skills, and not be worried about, you know, what the challenges are.
Right. Okay.
It is
So
about
keep trying.
keep trying. It is a number game. At the end of the day, it is for everyone. The problem that I see is that, when a physically challenged person or anyone with, mental or emotional challenges gets rejected, it becomes overhyped. Everyone in this world gets rejected.
Yeah.
I'm sure he has got rejected. My friend has got rejected in jobs as well. Everyone gets rejected. So rejection is not a problem. Everyone has to go through that phase of continuously trying, knocking on different doors, and making sure that the right door opens up for you.
Okay. So keep trying and don't get discouraged. So now let's turn the table. What advice would you give to employers who should and who want to support the differently abled community when
I mean,
they come to apply for jobs?
if they want to support, then the only thing that I would say is learn about accessibility. Make sure that you have the right systems in place and give people a chance. And you'll be surprised how well these people can do.
Okay. So now I want to switch gears, Aditya, to your personal story. You being on a deathbed, declared pretty much at the end of the line 3 times now. What? So that in itself gives someone a boost of resilience and motivation, right? To do okay. आज नहीं है, शायद कल नहीं होगा तो आज ही करना है मेरे को, है ना? So what advice, like you said, don't give up, keep knocking on doors. That's not so easy for people, right? So I've come across like that so many people who say, "Oh, but I keep getting rejected, this and that," Right. So the solution is keep on trying, but certain people like yourself have had and have the luxury to know how to groom resilience because you've been in a situation where, okay, I might not have tomorrow, so I have to do it all today, right? So, but what would you like the person who doesn't have that luxury, doesn't have that resilience yet? How do you keep and not forcing them, but motivating them to, okay, keep knocking on doors. It's gonna happen one day.
So I would say I learned it from my first death experience itself that, I was very ill. I was very laid back person, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you probably speak to my family, they'll still consider me laid back compared to them. But what I realized with my first experience was that life actually is very short.
Mm-hmm.
And it was with my first experience that my mindset changed. That, You have to live each day in a way that if I die today or if I die this moment, I should not have regret that I've not lived my life. So that is what I will tell someone. Don't wait for that near death experience to come. Realize that life is very short. Live it in a way that if you die today, if you die this moment, you don't have any regret that, I have not lived my life.
And I think those are really wise words coming from someone who's relatively young, because that's what it is. Life is short, and instead of being afraid of rejection and what society might say, we need to, you know, live. We need to do carpe diem. We need to seize the day. But the problem is, so many of us live in the mode of the fear of the rejection or what other people say might say, that we don't live our lives fully. And I think that's what we try to bring here, Beyond Limit Stories. And your story, the true embodiment of the stories that we want to bring the spotlight on, that live despite what they say, despite the challenges you come across.
I mean, that's what I've learned with my life experiences that there is no other way.
Yes.
There is no other way.
Yeah, so there was something really wise that Chetan, the previous guy that I interviewed, said. Everyone wants to eat, but no one's willing to hunt. Right?
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah, so I think that's very true. Um, you have to come to the world with being strong enough to reject, but being strong enough to face rejection.
Definitely. Rejection is part and parcel of life.
It's part of life. Everything is part of life. Just need to know how to handle it, right?
Yes. Sad moments, happy moments, everything is part and parcel of the life. Happy moments don't stay, sad moments don't stay. Nothing is permanent.
Right. Okay, so Aditya, in terms of your where you are currently in your journey as the founder of Strentor and being an empowerment coach yourself, can you tell me how this can help the employment opportunities of people in the differently abled community? Do you offer opportunities yourself to this community, or is it just are you just are your is your motive just to help empower them?
So yes, I do help. I mean, I empower them and I do help them with opportunities. In fact, I'm in talks with multiple people right now. One of my clients is a web developer. Most probably is going to go come on board with Strengthor as the website developer. Then there is another client of mine who is into social media management. We are in talks with her to, get her onboarded as the social media manager. Then there are a couple of people that I am looking into onboard as salespeople as well. They're all from physically challenged community. So I am trying to recruit more and more people. Then there is another person that I know from the spina bifida community who is pursuing psychology. And once she finishes psychology, I'm planning to onboard her as a psychologist with Strength Authority. So yes, I don't just empower them. If I see an opportunity for someone to work with Strength Author, I definitely want to bring them on board. I mean, of course, there's a proper interview process and they have to, show their caliber. If they show their caliber, we had.
Aditya, it was really a pleasure having you here today, sharing
Yep.
your story, especially this month when it is National Employment Month for the differently abled community. Not only have you gone through the cycle, but now you're opening up the cycle for opportunity for others in this community. And I think, regardless of mental and physical challenges, offering opportunity is a source of empowerment itself. So I think that is very uplifting, and it was great to share. And everyone, thank you for being here on our journey with us today and hearing this very inspiring and enlightening journey. Thank you for joining me on this journey while we uncovered an enlightening and empowering story. Remember, the road to diversity and inclusion is ongoing, and it is up to each of us to champion the change in our communities. So till we meet again, live boldly, live beyond limits, and push barriers. See you all next time.